man built a castle for the woman he loved. She died before they could grow old in it together. He buried her in the shadow of those walls, then spent the rest of his life trying to outrun the grief. That castle still stands, on the edge of a black lake, beneath the mountains of Connemara. And for over a century now, it's been home not to heartbreak, but to Benedictine nuns who fled a war, started a school, and turned a monument to loss into something entirely different. This is Kylemore Abbey, and its story is stranger than anything you'd invent. Mitchell Henry was a London surgeon and MP, but his heart was in the west of Ireland. In 1867, he bought 15,000 acres of Connemara bogland, and on it he built Margaret a castle. Not a hunting lodge. Not a summer retreat. A 70-room Gothic fantasy with turrets, battlements, and a lake that mirrors it all back, like a dream you can't quite wake from. He brought in 100 workers, planted trees by the thousands. Oak, beech, pine, transforming Gothic, pine, transforming bare hillside into forest, built a model farm. A school for local children, brought the railway closer to this corner of Galway. Mitchell and Margaret had 9 children. They hosted parties. They employed half the parish. For a few years, in the 1870s, Kylemore was exactly what he'd imagined, a fairy tale made real. In 1874, the Henrys traveled to Egypt. Margaret contracted dysentery in Cairo. She was dead within weeks. She was 45. Mitchell brought her body back to Connemara and buried her in a mausoleum on the estate, then spent the next decade building a Gothic church in her memory. Every detail was deliberate. The marble columns, the stained glass, the miniature cathedral, just for her. He couldn't stay. The castle held too much of her. Mitchell sold Kylemore in 1903 and died 4 years later in England, broken by a grief he never escaped. The estate passed through owners who couldn't afford it. The castle sat half empty, fading into the bog. It might have crumbled entirely, if not for what happened next. In 1920, a group of Benedictine nuns arrived in Connemara. They'd fled Ypres in Belgium when the German army destroyed their abbey during the First World War. They'd spent 6 years in temporary quarters in England, and now they were looking for somewhere permanent. They bought Kylemore for a fraction of what it cost to build. The nuns restored what they could. They converted the Gothic church into their chapel, and in 1923, they opened a boarding school for girls, Kylemore Abbey School, that would run for 87 years. Generations of Irish women were educated here, walking the same halls Mitchell Henry built for Margaret. The nuns farmed the land, maintained the gardens, and slowly, quietly, turned a monument to grief into a working community. The school closed in 2010, but the Abbey remains, still home to Benedictine sisters, still open to visitors, still one of Ireland's most photographed buildings. If you're visiting, here's what to know. The Victorian Walled Garden is a 6-acre restoration project with It's worth the 20-minute walk from the main house. Head gardener's cottage, glass houses, flower borders. It's been brought back from near total ruin since the 1990s. Go in summer if you can. The Gothic church is open. It's small, deliberately so. Margaret's tomb is in the mausoleum nearby. Both are free to enter. The abbey itself, the castle, has restored reception rooms you can walk through. The craft shop sells chocolate made by the nuns. The tear room does a decent scone. Give yourself 3 hours minimum. Wear layers. Connemara weather shifts fast. And if you're driving the wild Atlantic way, Kylemore is almost exactly halfway between Clifton and Leenane. You'll pass it anyway. Stop. Mitchell Henry built Kylemore because he loved someone. Nuns stayed because they'd lost everything else. And somehow, that combination, grief and resilience, beauty and practicality, made this place what it is. Tell me what you remember most. The lake, the gardens, the church. Drop it in the comments. Full guide linked below. See you next Monday.